Growing up, I was blessed to be a part of a local fellowship that helped define church for me. We were not a big church, but we were a connected and active church. Every age group received specifically designed ministry for them. For the children, we enjoyed Cleaner Band. It was a ministry designed for children to be trained. We learned about salvation, sanctification, and the Holy Spirit. We were welcomed into the ministry of the church, including the choir and altar services. One Sunday night, several of the children were seeking for the Holy Spirit. We were not in revival that night, and the message had not been given yet. But we were worshiping, or what we would have called song service. And the Holy Spirit began to move. There was a freedom, there was a liberty. We were not in the altar, but I stepped into the aisle to worship the Lord. I was 8 years old. And when I stepped into the aisle, my feet began to dance. Now, I'm not much of a dancer, and I never have been, but my feet began to move, and my mouth began to utter a language that was unknown to me. Since I was just 8, several church mothers came alongside to encourage my surrender to what they understood to be the Holy Spirit. That night, about 6 children received the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I will add that service was not a rarity in our fellowship. In fact, I have been witness to the moving of the Holy Spirit and His miraculous work among our people before that night. I knew, however, that night and from that night forward, that Holy Spirit was living inside of me. One of the extraordinary blessings of my life came that night. I was from an at-risk family. My mom served the Lord and the local church faithfully, but my dad was a minister constantly running away from God. My sister took a detour through drugs and alcohol and rebellion. And as I grew in that church, I would hear many testimonies of people that would come to services, and they would give their testimony of how God delivered them from terrible things that had happened in their life, from the sin that they had lived in. And when I would hear those testimonies, even as a child and a teenager, I would think, I'm never going to have a real testimony. But even at that age, the Holy Spirit spoke to me, and He said, I am your testimony. I danced you around all of the things in this world that would destroy your innocence, your joy, and your joy of service to the Lord. I kept you from all of that destruction. While I was far from perfection in my teen years, and I have been far from perfection through the ensuing years of my life, the Holy Spirit has been my guide, my instructor, my friend, my healer, my joy, an encourager, and my worship leader. I am thankful that in the difficult days of my life, the difficult days of ministry, the Lord has been a constant for me through the moving of the Holy Spirit. I am thankful that at 8 years old, I had been taught that the Holy Spirit was the third person in the Godhead. I am thankful that I was taught that He could speak through me and live in me. And I continue to be thankful today for the moving and the joy and the reality of the Holy Spirit in my life.